Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine. Giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine. It's episode 197. I'm Mike Mylan, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is Blaine Birch, the CEO and founder of Drive Run, and my co-host. What's up, man?
Well, a little bit of a technical bump to start, but I think we're off to the races, except that it's not going to LinkedIn today. So I guess we'll be posting there later, but a little disappointed in, I don't know, am I disappointed in Riverside or LinkedIn? But if you're watching this on LinkedIn, you're watching the recorded version because it ain't going live today, it looks like.
Yeah. So, hey, I got to tell you, I was just on a show called Small Business Safari. And I don't know if it's what they do all the time or whatever, but I was like I was amped the whole time. These guys are fucking animals. I'm like going, that's why you got to put the check mark, right? Like, Mike
I do, yeah. Mike
uses
uses bad language check mark. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm talking about, I was like going, oh my God, I don't know if I can keep up with these. I mean, it was just like, it's me versus two or something like that. And they were just going crazy, right and left, right, left, left, right. It's like going, oh my God. So, and then occasionally they'd ask me a question. It was the craziest thing ever. I'm like going, but it was fun. So maybe that's something I should listen to from now on. Small Business Safari. I actually had a time on somebody else's podcast.
All right, cool. I'll have to check it out and see what it's like and see if you got any words in edgewise. I'm sure that's what happened. We've only had guests in here like once or twice, but when we do, I'm not sure they get much of a chance to talk either, actually. So.
Hey, speaking of guests, though, I had a prep session with Neighbor Pat. Neighbor Pat's going to be our next guest. He's going to be on the 200th episode.
Yep.
200th episode where here's a teaser. He's going to tell us if he's going into business as a brewer or not. He's going to break news right here. What his decision is going to be, what he's thinking about, how he's thinking about it, those type of things. I mean, he's been brewing for years.
Oh, yeah. And this will be the live international, global, intergalactic announcement on our show.
Yeah. So I'm prepping him. I said, okay, well, we probably should have like a 10-minute practice session because he's going to be in this room with me, but he's going to be on a laptop over off to the side. So we'll have 3 instances.
Oh, okay.
He's going to be over there. That way, when we're kind of done with him, we can turn him off and go over there. But he's right here.
Yep. But
he's going to be on here with us.
Yeah. He might have to be in another room so we don't get feedback, but I'm not sure. We've never tried it. We'll find out. We'll do a little test.
That's what I said. We'll do a little test. But here's the other thing. I want to talk about this 200th episode, this 200 Hundo Super PAC.
200 Super PAC. Yeah.
We decided that the winner of the 200 Hundo Super PAC, I can't even say it anymore, gets about 6 months of free sponsorship. I mean, think about that. I mean, about 6 months. So between the 200th episode, which is 3 weeks from now, to the end of the year, you're going to get free sponsorship for your brand, for your person. I mean, if it's you, I'm going to talk about you for the next 6 months is all going to be about you. Not all about you, but you're going to be part of it. Free sponsorship. So if you want in, get in.
Exactly. Because we got 5 beer sponsors right now. You can be number 6 and it's free and you just win and you win some stuff because we got some cool stuff coming too that's going to go to the winner. And all you have to do is like, subscribe, follow, comment. Every comment and every text message and that we get gets you another entry. So honestly, there's some people who got way more entries than others. I'm going to tell you the honest truth. Some people are commenting all the time and some of you are only once. So up your chances, send some comments, get some cool stuff.
We count them all. Doesn't matter. We count them all. Right? Count them all. So like, subscribe, comment, doesn't matter. We count them all.
We're going to put it in a hat. Pull it out. There we go. And we're going to have a winner. But we do have some beer sponsors. The 5 we have today, before we get our number 6. And we're going to thank everybody. But first, what are you drinking today?
Oh, because of our topic, right? And if you're first time you ever listen to the show, our topic is made up like right before the show. And it's usually something that's happened in our lives. And mine is like a decision. I'm at a decision point that I'm like, well, maybe I'll just talk it through during the show.
Sure.
But mine is from Rio Ale, and I always go back to Rio Ale. I don't know what it is. I love their stuff, and I love this beer. I think I'm a West Coast IPA guy, but Rio Ale has one called Favorable Conditions, right? Favorable Conditions.
Nice.
A 6.5er, and I love the taste. If you like a West Coast, which is kind of a light IPA, this one is the best one I've ever tasted, believe it or not.
Nice. Sweet. I will try and track that one down. I went to my fridge today and realized it's time for a beer run. So I had some of my wife's sours in the fridge, some stupid heavy 10% pluses, but I still had one of my favorites. And I had this on a couple of weeks ago. It is the Spilt Milk from Omen Brewing Company. It is a milk stout. It's actually nice and light. It's 4.5% and delicious. So if you're in Edmonton, Alberta, wherever, if you can get Omen, get some Spilt Milk. It is an outstanding beer. So thanks, guys. We were just there the other day, and we love that brewery. So great place to go and hang out in the patio too.
There you go. So I just got off the phone today. I talked to him twice. He called me twice today. The Cash Flow Cowboy down in Houston, Texas. If you're looking for a CPA that knows cash flow, that knows his stuff when it comes to your tax returns, contact Larry Weinstein down in Houston, Texas. He is the Cash Flow Cowboy.
Yeah. And Rachel Barnett, as always, if you have a business, you need to know how to use QuickBooks Online, you got to go talk with Rachel. GentleFrog.com, or better yet, even go directly to her YouTube page, which is at GentleFrog, and you can check out a bunch of videos that'll tell you exactly how to use QBO. So thanks again, Rachel. Really appreciate it.
There you go. And Karen Hairston out in Michigan, right? 3S Smart Consulting. She is one of those fractional type CFO. If you're looking for somebody to help you finance, help you increase your cash flow, put more money in your own pocket, contact Karen up in Michigan, 3ssmartconsultant.com.
And neighbor Pat, who brings you beer because he's just down the street and your neighbor. But Pat, like Mike said, is going to be on our 200th episode, and he's going to do this big announcement. We're going to have some fun with it. We're going to chat with him. Really looking forward to it. And someday I'm going to get to try some of that beer of yours, neighbor Pat.
That's right. And we see Devin. Devin's always out there. I tell you what, if anybody's excited in the world right now, I don't know if you saw this, but LSU won the national championship in baseball, the College World Series. LSU came out as the champions, and they looked dominant both games, right? So if that guy's on cloud nine right now, I know why, right? Because his team, the Tigers, and they got some cool stuff. They got this big-ass tiger that they put on the back of a trailer. It's like a 30-foot tiger, just like a statue that they drive around. And they drove it from like Louisiana up to Omaha.
Oh, wow.
It was in the parking lot. It was like a crazy thing. You should look it up. It's a big tiger on the back of a trailer that they pull around just to promote the program. So
nice.
Devin, congratulations, man. Big win. Oh, 8 times. That was 8 times, by the way. That's the 8th time they won the national championship. Not in a row, but still 8 times.
I didn't know they had a baseball team.
Yeah, because we only talk football around here, right?
And hockey. Would I force it on you?
Well, that's because I didn't know Edmonton had a team either.
I know. I know. You guys are the reason for a while we had the glowing puck on TV.
It's fast. It's too fast.
Yeah.
Can't see it.
Canadians lost their mind when you had the glowing people and glowing pucks for a while there. Yeah. That
didn't last long, though.
No, fortunately, because Canadians are probably up in arms about that and ready to close the border down. It was
distracting.
I know, it was
awful. Because all 2 teams up in Canada.
We'll leave a few more than that. We just haven't won in a while, so unfortunately. All right, so what is the problem you're trying to solve today?
All right, so first of all, let me say that there's times when you make decisions with your gut. It's like a gut feeling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's times you have to make decisions because of the data, and sometimes they conflict. Sometimes, one's telling you one way, one's telling the other. And I got a whole segment that I teach in my course about this, about how decisions are made in what's called the limbic part of the brain, which is the center part of the brain. and then we rationalize it with the outer part of the brain, the newest part of the brain called the neocortex, with the language and logic. Well, here's where there's the conflict, right? Because logically, you can't explain why you feel a certain way, right? You're like, I don't know why I feel that way. All right, so here's the thing I've got in my course. Last year, I went through this massive process to get my course certified by NASBA, which is like National Accounting Standards Board of America. I don't know what the thing stands for, but it authorizes me to be a sponsor for continuing education credit that they call CPE, right? And so CPAs who have to do a certain amount of continuing education can take my course and get 27 hours of credit, right? Well, here's the thing. I thought initially that, oh my God, if I just got my course certified, more people would want it for the CPE credit. A year later, and it costs $2,500 to get it certified to begin with. So that's
Wow.
a hefty lift,
Yeah.
right? The renewal fee is $910. So you're like going, these aren't big numbers, Mike. What are you talking about? It's a big number when you only had one person get the CPE credit
Ouch.
for the whole year,
Not, yeah.
right?
The
So
data's there.
It
All the data you need,
yeah, but the gut tells me like going, well, maybe there's still people out there that want the CPE credit. You know what I mean? That's where the gut like going, what do I do if I just not renew and I have to remove it and I'm not a sponsor anymore? So I'm like, I'm in this weird, like, it's a gut decision I got to make. So I'm hoping that you'll help me out. You're like,
Okay,
oh, Mike,
well,
here's
okay,
it. Let's think through the problem.
Let's just look at, okay, first of all, I do want to say a couple things. One of the things that I trust my gut a lot on things when there's a lack of data, lack of information, or mostly when you have to make kind of a snap judgment call. But what I will say, I remember reading this a number of years ago, and it actually got me to trust my gut a lot more, was it's an unconscious pattern recognition. So in other words, your gut is based on data. And when your gut is wrong, it's probably actually just a lack of data, which means the more data you have, the better your gut's going to be as well when you don't have the time or whatever to be able to look at it. So it's not just just a kind of random thing. It is based on data. So you want to make sure you always have data and you're always looking at data because it makes your gut smarter, right? But I would take it and look at it this way. You got one lead for $2,500. Did that lead convert?
No, well, no, I mean, it has to be a conversion because I don't offer the CPE until, right, you bought the course and you went through the certification program. So,
Okay.
so it's a customer. So it's a different.
Okay.
It's not about generating, but I can't point to somebody that bought my course only because or mostly because
Of
I
CPE.
offered CPE.
Yeah. And so without even talking with them, you don't know if that was even a factor or if it was a major factor, minor factor, not at all. Right.
Well, what about the other 100 people that bought during the year, right? So I don't have good data. That's what I'm saying. It's mostly gut because now I'm at a deadline. I have to either renew or not renew.
Yeah. And attribution for things like that is really a challenge. It's hard to figure out, even when you talk with people and they, it's like, hey, why did you take the course? And they're trying to remember because they picked it 6 months or a year ago, trying to remember why they took the course and how they found out about it. And was it because of CPE or just like, there might be a bit more information, but it's pretty costly, right? Like that is a, like you were awfully close to having 0. Maybe you're close to having 2. So, I would say that's not a statistically significant number. So if you got 0, what would you be thinking? Because it's actually about that low, right?
Where I'm thinking right now is it is 0. Here's why. I don't think people are choosing my course for CPE. they're choosing it because they're trying to use it to actually make money and actually do something real inside. Not because they have a compliance thing they have to do,
Yeah.
but because it's a skill that I'm teaching that they can use to make their own money.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know this necessary. Matter of fact, I put a poll out there in my private group, right, with just my customers, and one of them said, "Hey, listen, man, I didn't choose this because of CPE. I don't think it's necessary."
Yeah.
That's the first feedback I got after I put out the poll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, and I just put it out today because I'm struggling with it because in my mind it's important, but in my wallet it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think it's one of those things where if you're asking the question, you know the answer. Right.
You know what, dude? Did you talk to the cash flow cowboy? Because that's exactly. I called him for counsel, right? Because he's in my program. I'm like, should I do it? He goes, dude, if you're asking a question, you just told me what you told me. You already know the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think there's because it's the mix of gut and data right there. That's not statistically large enough. And the other thing is also the quality of I would say sort of the lead, or will they become a really engaged customer that will talk about you, that will maybe buy another product, buy again from you, if they're only there because they just have to get a CPE credit versus they're there because they do want to advise their customers and they want to learn more and they become an active customer of yours, right?
That's the most powerful statement that sticks with me, is that they're here for the right reason. They're not here because they need a credit. Because and that's what's leading me to say the otherwise. I mean, my gut is opposite of data. Data's telling me like, "Oh, dude, what the hell are you doing? Just drop it." My gut's telling me like, "Oh, I love CPAs and I want to help them out and I want to do this type of stuff." But if nobody's taking advantage of it,
Yeah.
and they can get free CPE anywhere in the world for the dumbest stuff in the world, it seems like. Because I've sat through someone like, you got CPE credit for this? They taught you how to fold a paper, how to fold it in fours, and you got CPE credit for it. Because that doesn't make sense.
Oh boy.
But
Yep.
that's probably not true. I made that up.
Well,
but I'm just saying there's been some really dumb stuff people get CPE credit for. I've sat in the courses.
yeah. And truthfully, I've been asked to, the odd time over the last few years, to teach a course that has CPE credit. And I did them, and it was pretty time consuming. And I'm like, well, why would I do this? And it was the same thing. It wasn't data in a way. It was my gut saying, you should do that. You know what my gut was telling me? Because you're going, and especially for you now, less for me now, but for you now, you can say, well, CPAs are my market. And there's this direct line that your gut tells you, like, I got to get in front of CPAs. That's a great way to do it. But then the data and the logic side tells you it's like, you're not getting in front of the right CPAs at the right time for the right reason.
No, and I think the thing is, and this is where I think I did it right, to give me the right data, is because I didn't, get approved for a 1 hour at a time. You can get an hour here, you can get an hour there, you can get an hour of this, that, and the other. You got to do the complete course, and you get 27 hours. That's to me, I did it on purpose because I wanted them to have to commit.
Mhm.
Because you'll learn something. If you do 27 hours with me, you're going to learn something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, you're going to learn something.
And to me, that says that the person doing, if they're committing to 27 hours, it's not just to fill up their CPE credits. They want your content. If they want your
That's right.
content, they're not coming because of CPE credits. So I think the data tells you something pretty strongly there. And I think, it's, like you said, like, part of your gut is telling you it probably isn't the best fit. It's a bit of a magnet because it's like, well, I can get in front of people. What if? But it's like, yeah, I think you can see the writing on the wall there, right?
Yeah. So it was like, the story of MailChimp. I mean, they were eventually bought by who
Intuit.
was it? Microsoft. Yeah, Intuit.
Yeah.
Right. So, but they resisted for years based on gut to sell an enterprise project, right, or product. resist it because all the venture capitalist people are saying, no, you got to go enterprise. You got to go enterprise. I said, no, it's all small business. And they stuck to their gut,
Mhm.
even when, everything around them was saying, you got to go upstream.
Yeah.
You went upstream
Mhm.
and it actually worked out for you. For them, they stuck and what they sell to Intuit for, something like 20 billion or 20 million or something like that. I mean, something
Bajillion
crazy.
dollars. Yeah, it was a
Yeah, I
huge,
mean,
huge
just
amount.
craziness.
Yeah.
So, I mean, their gut led them to quicker than a VC could have got them there to a sale, and
Yeah.
sold the company into it.
Well, and like I'm going to say, like that is the norm. You see 90% of companies going down. Some of them went down because they were pressured by a VC that really doesn't know what they know. That's why their gut was telling them that. Again, it's that pattern recognition. They're going like, no, we're solving a problem here. The opportunity is there. And because there's a lot of companies that were going like the bigger market is small business. Well, it's a tough market. Um, yeah, I think that's the thing is ultimately you need to make the decision. The entrepreneur, the founders, they need to make the ultimate decision. And the more it's clouded by factors outside of the true data and the true purpose, the more likely it is to blow up in their face.
Right. So the company that really screwed up on data, I think, is they looked at the wrong metric. I think. All right. So, and I know because I bought one during COVID. Did you buy any fitness equipment?
Did I buy? Well, you know what? Actually, we actually bought our e-bikes during COVID, and you say it's not fitness equipment, but we ride so long all day. Like we've crossed, I can't even remember how many thousands of kilometers on those bikes. So I guess in one way you could sort of call it fitness equipment, but it wasn't like the silly fitness equipment off of, I saw this on TV or whatever.
Well, I mean, I saw it on TV and I bought it because we were stuck in the house.
Mhm.
But you remember the bikes? Not remember like they're dead and they're gone. Like the brand Peloton.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
They were hot as anything. The main reason is their launch was pretty much during the COVID era, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So they had all these bikes. Everybody's held up at the house. They're like going, oh, that's the best way to do it. I can just do my workout here. Integrated screens, TV, live coaching, right? Live training where you could jump into a live session. Dude, I'm telling you what, there's 2 or 3 of the sessions where they said my name, my screen name, Cashflow Mike, during the session. Like, hey, Cashflow Mike, what's going on? The instructor did. You want to keep me motivated? Like, say my name while I'm pedaling that bike. I'm telling you, there was 2 of them that did that. And it kept me on that bike for a couple of years. And then as we went back to normal, well, hell, I had other things. I got out of the house. I got to do stuff.
Yeah.
I got to go back to my real life. Well, during that time, this is the absolute crusher, like, hockey stick growth. We're going to invest in more bikes, better technology, more people, and all this type of stuff. And just overinvested in it
Yeah.
because they had all this captured audience during COVID.
Yeah.
As soon as people could get back into the office and get out into the world and felt safe about everything else that they were doing,
Yeah.
numbers plummeted. We're still paying for a monthly subscription. Dude, I ain't been on that bike in I don't know how long.
Yeah. It's the chronic, like you see the upswing and to the right and it's going up like this and you think it's going to go up forever. That's the colossal way of people. That's how they lose their shirt when they invest. The way you invest to make money is buy low, sell high. What people don't seem to consider is the only reason it's low is because it's unpopular. Not everyone's doing it. And if it's low, it's really hard to buy low because that's why it's risky, because not everyone's looking at it. What most people do is it's going up like this. And they go, look at the line going up. It's going to go up forever. And they buy super high, hoping it'll go higher. And inevitably it's not going to happen. Right. Um, it's, now it's hard for them probably to predict that because COVID was a one-off thing, but they basically in a way bet the company going that line's going to keep going up and to the right.
Yeah, they thought, hey, everybody is now addicted. They're going to stay addicted and tell their friends.
Yep.
No one in the company ever thought, what if we can go outside again?
Yeah.
Right?
And
I mean, it just
their competition started to increase as soon as people saw that there was money there. I actually had totally forgot about this. I probably was blocked it out because I didn't want to think about it. But the 1 year in COVID, it was 2020 was it? We couldn't get across the border to go down to Scottsdale. So we had to stay in Edmonton for the winter. We hadn't done a winter in years. We didn't even want to leave the house. So we did what I would say was like a budget Peloton. So we bought these 2 foldable like bikes, like stationary bikes, maybe $50 each. And then we just had a big TV and we just like would stream stuff and we watched, I don't know, I can't remember. It was but Brooklyn 99. I think we watched that entire series. Yellowstone. I don't know how much we watched of Yellowstone, just sitting there pedaling. And so, but it was way cheaper. But you know what? It was the same thing happened to us. As soon as we could go back to Scottsdale and we could go walking outside and we go biking and that, those things haven't been used. I don't even know if we still have them. They're in a closet probably somewhere.
yeah. So I mean, that's where data at the time would have told you to double down, invest. Hey, this is where pour jet fuel on this, and those bikes weren't cheap. I mean, they were selling them for $2,500.
Yeah.
Right. Which that means they had to cost them at least $1,000, I would think, or somewhere between whatever. I would think $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you get that, and then they were financing them too for like nothing. I think, they were financing it as well. So they ended up with warehouses of these bikes. That's what kind of collapsed it is like what do you mean? Nobody's going to continue to just buy these things forever, right? This is the new hot thing. Yeah. People decided the only reason we did it was we were bored.
Yeah.
Only the people that were bored and got tired of watching TV and doing everything else in their house, like I've repaired everything. I've painted this wall 14 times, whatever it is. I need to get on a bike, I guess.
Well, and like I said, the competition is super fierce. And like I know we have a subscription to Apple Fitness or whatever. And that came out of nowhere. And suddenly it's like they have access to all the Apple users. You didn't have to buy any fancy equipment, but they have really good like trainers and programs and all of that. So the content is really good. And so now you're going, do I need a $2,500 bike and a subscription of X dollars where it's like, I don't know what that is, like $15 or $12 or something a month. I think it's part of a package, but it's really well done too, right? So the competition gets super fierce too.
Hey, we still have their app. We still have their subscription. It is really well done. It's a library of stuff. I mean, whatever they did was top notch. Right, it was absolutely the best of the best. I haven't seen another, and I've tried. I bought this expandable weight set, and it comes with an app. It looks like somebody did this in the basement compared to somebody did Peloton in Hollywood. It's like that's the difference between Peloton's product. Absolutely top notch, but I think they missed it. I think they missed the wave of really, and they could have looked back at what regular fitness trends were and bought to that level.
Yeah. It is so much harder to like when things are going up and to the right, it's hard to go, well, is it going to keep going or is it going to stop? What's going to make it stop? It's really hard to.
Yeah, but we were all talking COVID's going to stop. There's going to be a point in time where we go, hey, the hell with it. We're just going to go back to normal life. And if we get COVID, we get COVID. There was a point in time when the whole population did that. Just decided we're not going to play this game anymore.
And that's up to, it's up to the senior management, the founders, the C-suite, to look at that and go, is this going to go forever? And do we bet the company on this? Do we want to see if it's going to continue? Because it's the same thing as when a stock or a business or whatever is going down. At what point, it looks like it's never going to stop going, but at what point do you go, there's a reason for me to think it's going to turn and start going up? And that's opportunity. Um, it's just it's hard when it's going up, 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 because it feels like it's going to keep going forever. And obviously some hard lessons learned. And I understand on the other side, the competition gets fierce. There's all sorts of options. Um, Options that are like, yeah, maybe not as high quality, but when they're a tenth the price, people can maybe live with that, right? Apple's quality is as good as anything, but it doesn't connect directly to it, but it's also costs like almost nothing. So competition is getting fierce, and maybe they thought they could do a knockout punch, but yeah, they probably bet the company on it in a way.
All right. So what about the risk takers, right? The people that want to take a risk. Like I think back to Starbucks when they said we're going to charge $4 at that point in time for a cup of coffee. And everybody's like going, nobody's going to be, dude, we can get a cup of coffee, 50 cents here, 70 cents there, $1 here.
Yeah.
How do you think you'll ever get $4 for a cup of coffee? And they went through with it. Data told them that was the dumbest shit that you ever could do. But their gut told them they could build a premium coffee market.
Mhm.
How's that happen? I mean, you know, how does that happen?
By the same token, they basically built that market, but did they do the same mistake where it's going to go on forever and we can keep going up, 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 and up because the competition starts to get really pretty fierce? And when Starbucks first came out, it was like the cool coffee shop. Now it's just the big chain. It's no longer the cool coffee shop, right? So it's gone from early adopters to the usual, but to the usual, like the larger crowd. How much are they willing to spend on this, and do they keep spending? And I know Starbucks has had like some off and on issues in the last number of years.
All right, but to get somebody to move from $1 to $4 at first, I think what you're doing is, I'll just call it price discrimination. I'm going to go there because I can afford it, and maybe you can't. Right? I mean, that's price discrimination, which means, you price people out of the market.
You know what?
But
I actually think I don't know if like going from to a $4 coffee price, it doesn't price people out of the market because they can't afford it, because it is such a low cost item, right? What it is, I think, is it's an achievable luxury item, right? Like it's instead of buying
okay. Yeah.
the $10,000, $20,000 watch kind of thing, it's like it's like, oh, I can get a luxury item. I can feel pampered. I can be in this amazing atmosphere. I can get what people are telling me is a really good cup of coffee, but I can afford it because it's only $4 or $3 or whatever it was at the time, right? So
See, I didn't think about that way. Yeah, I didn't think about that way. That's good.
Yeah, but with other products, there's a point where it's budget. And definitely for some people, it's $4 cup of coffee is like, yeah, it's way too much. But I think what they were looking for is you can give affordable luxury.
Well, and they also did something in the beginning that nobody else did, which was allow people to come in and linger, hang out,
Yeah.
and not even buy anything. You didn't have to buy anything. Matter of fact, they encouraged us sometimes remember they used to bring in like, concerts, like, I won't call it concerts, but they had live music inside.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had live music inside these, and that's where the coffee house, you know, radio stations came out.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because they wanted people to come in. They said, "Hey, we want you to be here. We want you to be part of this," because they knew that if there were more people, it's the empty restaurant theory. I mean, when you pull up to a restaurant, there's no other cars. Do you feel comfortable about your decision?
Yeah. That it's you're driving away. There's a restaurant years ago that we used to go to almost every day for lunch. This was back over 20 years. And it was kind of like an Irish pub. They had a really inexpensive lunch. It was like a $3 pint and a sandwich or a burger or something for almost nothing, like $3 or $4. It was ridiculous, right? Like, this is the best value on the south side. Like, it was of Edmonton. It was just terrific. But it always looked closed. And we literally told like the management there, it's like, you got to have your staff park in front of the door because it looks closed. It looks like it's a bar that everyone assumes isn't open for lunch because there's no cars. Like, park in front of the door. We just stumbled on it, right? And we were the only car. We'd be like 1 or 2 cars there, right?
I was the same way. Church Street Bar and Grill in St. Peter's. I mean, my staff would park out back. I'm like, oh, no, you guys got to start parking out front. Because otherwise it looks like nobody's here. And if there's at least 2 cars there, you're like, well, other people are there.
Somebody there.
Give it a shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, because nobody wants to be the only person.
Well, and like
Very
the thing with this kind of stuff is all of that's going to affect the dollars coming to the door. It's going to affect your cash flow. And the only way to deal with something like that is to talk with someone like you.
There you go. And you know where you can find it is that we have this program called the Clear Path to Cash, right? You go to cashflowmike.com, and what we will do is help you take the data that you get every day, because you get data every day. You get sales data, you get cost data, you get, bills that you pay, timing of when they come in. You get all of this data. We help you make sense of it at cashflowmike.com. All you got to do is go to our site, cashflowmike.com, and I'll tell you what, if you go there today, we have a free course. If you don't know how to analyze financial statements, we will help you analyze them in 7 minutes or less with the course that I got right now called the 7-Minute Conversation. Go there. It costs you an email address, but you can get that course for free and access today. So thanks. Go to cashflowmike.com. Sorry.
I was quite disappointed in my segue. A couple of weeks ago, I think I had quite a good one. That one was about a C minus. That was not great.
But I knew we were 36, 37, 38, and there wasn't a great spot for me to go, hey, let me talk about me.
Yeah, I was watching
talk about me.
I was going to sneak that in a few minutes earlier, but I was a little bit, I didn't quite nail it. So everyone out there, it's, I should just keep sticking to my knitting over here and let you do the segues. You're a lot better at them than I am.
Hey, because it doesn't matter if we're selling dry run, cash flow Mike stuff at Dill Hoppers, doesn't matter. We need to promote that mid-roll sponsor. So the cool thing about that is if you want to be the mid-roll sponsor and maybe have your sponsorship butchered like this one was, just contact us because we'll do it. We'll butcher it or we'll make it awesome.
We will make it. I promise you, we'll make it awesome. We'll write a script. We'll run it past you, and we've had some mid-roll sponsors, and they always. The difference is with the mid-roll sponsors, somehow we just had that all nailed down. When we do our own, it's like, oh, I'm up. Let me tell you about dry run. It's never quite as polished as it should be. But anyway, back to the show.
Yeah. Hey, what was funny though is that mid-roll sponsors that we've had, they might not get there at first, but secondly, they go, no, you guys run with it. Because they know it's better when we do it than if they control with it.
Yep.
Yeah, if they control it.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I think I might do for mine, like next week? I'll record it, and then I'll start playing and just try and mouth the words, but I'll have like music in the background, the whole works. Give that a go.
Oh, that's crazy. All right, so give me an example of where the data said one thing and you went a different direction.
Well, okay, I will tell you. Yeah, and we did a fairly big pivot at Dry Run where we moved from serving more small business and we've moved up market. And I think we felt like we got pulled, but we got pulled. It was a smaller bit of data. They were outliers, but very important outliers. And so it was kind of tough because the data was showing us and we were growing and we were doing like pretty high triple percentages in growth. Now the data maybe just just starting to tail off a little bit, but it was, I would say, not the quantitative, it was the qualitative data. It was the input that was coming from conversations and from other places like this, where we started to go, there's a fox in the henhouse here. Like, it's not quite right. And then we started to get a little more validation out of the data. But when we did our pivot, it was actually before the numbers were really hitting us hard. And in retrospect, they did eventually, but we'd already turned the ship and we were going the other direction by then.
Yeah, when you said qualitative versus quantitative, that's social media. Because if you ever look down through there, you can see 100 people give you negative comments and only 2 give you positive comments. But when you look at the negative comments, you're like going, yeah, you guys are wrong. Just wrong because it doesn't, what you said doesn't exist. It's false or whatever it is. The 2 is more powerful than the 98
Yeah.
because of the quality. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, yeah, you're excited because that's the opposite of quantitative data, right? Like, it's literally but it's getting that the nuggets, the outliers, but those outliers can point to like, there's something there. Now, I would tend to go, I don't know if I trust social media for anything, to be completely honest, but you might find some nuggets in there that's sort of interesting, but it's maybe help point you in the right direction.
No, but the reason I said is because, AI is trying to do this sentiment stuff right now. Are these positive or is this negative? And I think it can be overwhelmed with bots, false comments, whatever it is. So you cannot trust that data. I don't
Yeah.
care anything I see on social media. I don't trust at all.
That is the ultimate garbage in, garbage out. And in fact, there's areas where AI can do a pretty good job, but there's areas where
But
it's
but
awful because it's garbage in, right?
that's the crux to the whole episode is, do we trust our gut or data? Because data would tell you that everything that is bad on this social media post, and you go like, oh, no, it's not bad. No, what are you guys talking about? Your gut tells you differently.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is true but you know what is interesting, because it's the data, but it's not statistical data. It's the qualitative data where you actually see a comment and go, "Huh, that," because like that even happens to me sometimes. Like, I'm meeting with CFOs and that every day, and every once in a while they'll say something and it'll be like one sentence or one fragment of a sentence and you go, "Oh, holy shit. That's really important." It's not a volume thing. It doesn't show up. Like, we have different ways of tracking data and getting statistical data out of even like comments and things, analysis of conversations and that. It's sometimes these one-offs that can be like, "Oh man, that is important." And it's your gut telling you, it's that pattern recognition of that matters. And it's not the volume of comments, but you recognize it as something really important.
All right, so let me pose a scenario. I go onto Facebook and I say, Blaine Birch is a handsome man. And 90 people disagree with me and 10 people agree. What do we do with that?
Well, I first of all thank my wife and my mom and my mother-in-law. 'Cause that's okay. Well, there's 3 of the 10. Well,
but that's data. That's data versus gut.
looking in the mirror is data, and I could tell it's like, this probably isn't like I could read the data there coming, the reflection in the mirror, right? But again, like the data, like when you're analyzing data, because there's so many things today that you see things online and there's zero data behind it, or there's something that sounds logical but it is complete and utter bullshit, right? But on the other side, I also know that the kind of the scientific method leaves gaps, because you can say, "Oh, look at what the data says." Yeah, but you set up the study. You made the criteria up. You're like For instance, let's say I wanted to, like, you would see this, like Edmonton, ranked the number one city in the world for quality of life. Wow, that's amazing. And then you say, well, okay, well, how did you get to that point? Well, because I did a survey of 50 people, 40 were in Edmonton, and the top ranked criteria was how cold it gets. There you go. You're like, I literally set the guidelines and I can get kind of any result I want in a way. Now, that's obviously pushing it to the nth degree, but all of these studies,
Wait a second.
somebody,
Where I'm confused is how cold it gets, good or bad? Because it seems like it gets colder there than here.
yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is that if I frame that as a positive, like, hey, for people that love winter sports and you need snow to do sports, let's say things like skiing. How does Edmonton compare to Phoenix? Oh, Edmonton gets a 10, So anyway, like you can adjust the way you ask the questions, and the exact questions you ask gives you the data. And if you're not disclosing all of that data and actually, like, for me, analyzing, like a recent study said you should only eat, green beans. Let me just see your methods, because I have a feeling that you kind of decided and you eliminated and you set the guidelines up and then you gathered data on that. So is it more valid than, like, well, I think the Earth's flat because I can't see the curve? Well, it probably is better than that, but there's also limits. It's not this black and white facts, right? And so that's where data can be really messy, because it's like you said, what did you ask chat? What data source is it using? It can be really messy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So, all right. So let me ask you this. The title of the episode was "You're One Bad Hunch Away from Being Broke." What's a bad hunch that some business owners or most business owners make that could cause them to go broke?
Well, I think there's a few things
It's a tough one.
that
Yeah.
we well, I think there's a few things that we sort of covered. There's kind of the uh, you hear all the time, vanity metrics. Like, you're looking at the wrong metrics. So you're going like, oh, look at our web traffic is increasing. Well, how are your conversions doing? Oh, they're not doing very good. But look at our web traffic's increasing, right? So there's vanity metrics that make you feel good, but they actually aren't directly related to success in the
Mm.
business. But one of the other things we actually talked about is you look at a trend and it's going up, and the mistake sometimes is you interpret it as it's going to continue to go up. Why? Will it continue to go up? Because a lot of new businesses have this like an initial rush. Um, let's say you open up a restaurant, you get this initial rush, and you're like, I'm going to be full every day. It's really hard. It's really hard to keep that up, because you start to lose that momentum and notoriety that you had at the start, right?
Hey, maybe you knew it, maybe you didn't, but you just gave everyone on this call, listen to this podcast, the answer to what happens next is because you said, Why do you feel that way? Why do you think that's going to happen? Why is it? I mean, that question, why, will avoid a lot of problems. If you can't answer why you feel that way, then maybe you shouldn't do it.
Mhm. And the why, the more data you have behind it, and again, don't just discount don't just say like qualitative, like, hey, interviewing customers may not have statistical data behind it, but could be, at times, could be 100 times more valid than the numbers you're looking at. If you're looking at the wrong numbers for the wrong reason, the wrong time frame, so in other words, look at both. Look at both. Talk with your customers, I would say, more than anything, and then also look at your hard data and see what it's telling you.
Yeah, totally agree. So let's talk about this 200 super PAC.
Oh yeah.
We already know, we already told people that, hey, you're going to get a sponsorship for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I want to tease out there, they're going to get a a 5x8 autographed,
Yep.
thing of us, right?
Yep. You can hang it on the wall if you want. It's going to be beautiful. 5x8 little autograph, perfect. It's going to be awesome. And a few other mystery treats
There you go.
that you're going to get.
Hey, this 5x8 though, I want you, if you win, I'm telling you, we have been working on what this thing's going to look like. What it's going to look like, you're going to want to display it.
Oh yeah.
Somehow, some way. And if you win, we're going to send it to you. You have to display it somewhere.
Exactly.
You're going to want to.
And there's no AI. This was us making
AI.
this image. It was like all us. Yeah. All you have to do, like, subscribe, follow, comment, even send us a text. We get a lot of those, and we're like, because people are texting us because they know us. And hey, if you know us, send us a text message, comment on a video on any of our channels. And for every comment, every follow, every like, you're going to be added into the hat. So some people are actually starting to stockpile a good number because they're commenting like every week and they're sending us stuff all the time. So increase your chances of getting this amazing 5x8 in our Hundo Super Pack with some other really fun mystery things that you're going to just think are amazing.
Yeah, I got a text from Pat saying cheers. I got a text from, I thought there was one in here from Rick just a little bit ago. Oh, Breger said touche, so we must have said something that made him say touche. Yeah. So yeah, if you got my number, text me, text Blaine, text us, or comment, like, subscribe,
chat,
get involved.
Subscribe. Yep. And you still can go, if you decide it's like, well, what if I don't win the Super Pack, but I want to be a beer sponsor? Go to mikeandblaine.com. You can buy us a beer, $5 an episode, and we will mention you. We will mention your business. We're going to do a little blurb like we do for all of our amazing beer sponsors. It's the best value in sponsorship in North America, according to Blaine.
Easily.
I'm not using quantitative data on that one, but I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm going to endorse it. There you go. We endorse it.
I'm Mike Mylan, and I approved of this commercial.
There you go. Hey, you've listened to 197. We are 2 more episodes before the 200th, right? The big 200 Super Pack is coming out. So like, subscribe, tell your friends. That's the best thing, right? Tell your friends. I think that's where we get most of it from.
Yep.
But I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with me today.
You too, man. This was fun. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.